Justin Herbert, Lad McConkey, and Los Angeles Chargers host Jalen Hurts, Jalen Carter, and the Philadelphia Eagles from SoFi Stadium on Monday Night Football. A huge Monday night Week 14 showdown to cap off the Week 14 in the National Football League. This is going to be an important game because both of these teams come into this game with 8-4 records, and let's be honest, in the scope of where they are in their division, they both could really use a win. The Chargers are trailing. They're trying to get back into striking distance with the Denver Broncos, and the Philadelphia Eagles, after their loss to the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys, they're looking to avoid a 3-game losing streak, and they only remain a game and a half ahead of, as of the recording of this video, ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. So it's very key for them to stay ahead of Dallas and not let this divisional race get all that close. Now, for starters in this game, talking about SoFi Stadium, it's a roof over it, so weather obviously not a concern for either team. If this game were in Philadelphia, I think that it would have been extreme home field advantage, right? Getting Philadelphia in an element where you could see some weather. The weather turns in early December, obviously. But SoFi Stadium, though, Eagles fans travel as well as many other teams in the league. They're going to be packed into SoFi, and I think that makes it a problem for the Los Angeles Chargers from the get-go, dealing with potential crowd noise for Philadelphia. This is one of those games that you circled earlier on when the schedule was coming out and thought that both these teams could be something like 9-3, 8-4 heading into the season. Now, the Chargers quarterback, Justin Herbert, one of the best in the National Football League, he broke a bone in his left hand, needed surgery to repair it, but all of the reports are trending towards him playing and being available for Los Angeles in this game. Frankly, that's the number one sort of checkbox that you had. If he wasn't playing, there's no shot in heck they would have had a chance to win this game against the defending Super Bowl champs. That defense led by Nolan Smith, Carter, Kobe Dean, the likes of one of the best defenses in the National Football League. For Philadelphia, their offense, well, it has, for the last 6 quarters, been abysmal. They've only mustered 15 points in the last 6 quarters, and truly has been a stagnant group. Now, A.J. Brown, he had a big day against Chicago, a late touchdown in that one, and the touchdown on Deshaun Wright in a big explosive play. It felt like Philadelphia was going to grasp control of that game on Black Friday against Chicago. They got an interception. It was 10-9, and then a 3rd and 1 push. Hurts is sort of slowed up, and then Deshaun Wright forces the fumble, and all of that momentum that they brought in that game, feeling pretty good about where they were, is essentially seized away. A 4th and 5 conversion to Colston Loveland. Chicago takes the lead, and they don't look back in that game. They couldn't stop the run. Thankfully for Philadelphia, they're facing one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League. I don't believe that there's any debate to this right now, in LA being a bottom 3-4 unit in the league. Justin Herbert, a large part of him being banged up and taking all these hits and his health being a large concern, turning the football over this year, being sacked 38 times on the year. All of that has to do with no Rashawn Slater, no Joe Alt. The interior's been banged up throughout the season. So the overall consensus for this one heading into it is it's going to be a uphill climb for LA to be able to establish the run, to run the football. It's not going to be anything like what the Chicago Bears ran out there in Philadelphia. That's an extremely healthy, it's arguably the best O-line in football that Philadelphia just faced, playing this Chargers units that doesn't have Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, Darnell Wright, Jonah Jackson on it is going to be quite favorable for Philadelphia, for the likes of Jordan Davis and Carter to feast. And guys in the back end, they had a decent day, frankly, against the Bears. And looking at LA and them struggling for 3 quarters with the Raiders in that game, I don't see a ton of momentum for this offense. I know they were able to put away the Raiders late in that game, but the overall trend for this Los Angeles Chargers football team as a whole is somewhat up and down. It's a bit of a roller coaster throughout the season after really the first 3 games of the year where they arguably looked like one of the best teams in football. I had Chargers top 5. I had Philadelphia number 1. And then power rankings right up until the current results that we've seen. And look, since they both started 3-0 on the season, in Philadelphia obviously looking like one of the stronger teams in football, now 8-4. From the look of it, this Philadelphia team still has a great shot to get the 1 seed in the conference. The Rams losing opened the door once again for them. They just need to finish with the same record of the Bears. Unfortunately for them, with the loss to Chicago, they will not win a tiebreaker. So they need to finish a half game or a full game ahead. Let's say Philadelphia finished 13-4, Chicago finishes 12-5, Rams finish 13-4. The conference would go to Philadelphia in that instance, as long as the Rams win their conference. So still a whole lot of football left in that sense. And for the Chargers, in their schedule, they have a looming matchup with the Denver Broncos at the end of the season. That could very well determine the seeding in the AFC. It could send Denver to the second overall seed in the conference. So this game has a lot riding on it. This game is crucial towards the playoff seeding, towards these teams just fully. And there's no doubt that the Eagles make the playoffs, but the Los Angeles Chargers right now, with teams like the Houston Texans right there behind them, matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs coming up right here. The Chargers still got to play the Dallas Cowboys, so they've got a very tough schedule the rest of the season, and they're not going to be getting any favors from that. And we know that they play the Texans the second to last game of the year, arguably the toughest schedule in the league over the last 4 or 5 games. So mainly where I believe that the Chargers can have success against Philadelphia, well, it's their defense against that Philadelphia offense. And that's taking in a bit of the information received from this Philadelphia team in the last couple of weeks, that they're not running the football well. The injury to Lane Johnson has been crucial for them. They cannot get Saquon Barkley going after one of the best seasons, arguably the best season any running back has had in the history of the NFL. Saquon Barkley on the year is only at 3.7 yards a carry, 740 yards. Jalen Hurts, with the effectiveness of his legs, he's got the 8 touchdowns, but he's only averaging 3.9 yards a carry. You're not seeing him being an incredibly efficient runner. Now, I know a lot of the tush pushes and the short yardage beneficial plays impact the overall scrambling ability, but he hasn't had an easy sense to just go pick up 10-11. Thought that against the Chicago Bears, without Tremaine Edmonds, without TJ Edwards and that linebacking core, they would be able to take advantage and get Saquon Barkley the ball out in the flats. Look at what the Pittsburgh team did and scoring a bunch of points against Chicago. And Philadelphia was a mixed match the entire night, really, not establishing any sense of rhythm. Felt like it would be a ball to A.J. Brown, and then it would be an inside handoff, and there was pressure up the middle, and Jalen Hurts had to throw the football away. It was pretty scattered around throughout the entire day, an incredibly frustrating performance. And then this week, this Los Angeles Charger defense gets after the quarterback extremely well. They're 6th in the league in sacks, 34 sacks on the season, 8th in the NFL. They've got 11 interceptions. They take the football away. The pressure on the quarterback impacts them clearly, and then the style of play as an offense. Remember, the Chargers are the second team in the league. They're at about 33 minutes a game in total time of possession. That Bears-Eagles game, Chicago doubled up Philadelphia in total close to first downs. I want to say it was 28-14. Time of possession was 40-20. And then the yards were a little bit closer than that, but we're not going to be expecting that level of a running attack from probably another team the rest of the season, of the regular season, so to say, unless they have another matchup in the playoffs versus a great team. This is the last real test for the Eagles in the regular season, and getting a very tough team to play with how their schedule is going to be shaking out for them quite favorably. So a 13-4 record is possible if they could get the win here. with the Buffalo Bills, the second to last game of the season, probably a 12-5 record. You could get on board with the Chargers and the Bills both being road games, but we'd be getting ahead of ourselves if we're not just only talking about LA. So this offensive line, they got to protect Jalen Hurts, allow him to have time to orchestrate this offense and get the football downfield to A.J. Brown. The matchups were not favorable for them last week with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the former player of the Super Bowl team a year ago, him in the slot, and Kyler Gordon working on Devonta Smith, a limited day for Devonta Smith. There was the not miscommunication. It was not a great ball from Hurts and Smith, not on the same page when it was 7-0. They have to settle for 3 points, a critical play in the second quarter of the game on Black Friday. So it's key to not have those mistakes down there close to the red zone. Can't be kicking field goals. Have to be scoring touchdowns. That's the key for this one. But overall, these two offenses are middle of the pack. It's the fact of the matter. The Eagles can't get the run game going, and they have as many 3-and-outs as anyone in the league. They're scoring 22 points a game. Chargers, on the other hand, they're only a spot ahead of them. This is the 19th and 18th ranked teams in the league in points a game. Chargers score 23 points a game, so just a little bit more than what Philadelphia scores. But both of these teams, they trot out great defenses. There's elite playmakers scattered throughout the entire team. And so a guy like Tatum Tuioti, I'm circling him against Philadelphia, impacting that passing game. Can he get favorable matchups? Khalil Mack, he's the type of guy that you almost forget about if you haven't been following the Los Angeles Chargers quite a bit throughout the entire season. Khalil Mack is still getting after it at a really high level. Tui Pelotu had 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks against the Raiders. I mean, Tui Pelotu is probably their best defensive player on this season. Khalil Mack right there on the other side of it. Derwin James lurking in the back end. Bud Dupree getting after the quarterback. This is a unit that can flex their muscle against this Philadelphia offensive line. So I'm expecting the Eagles to really try and run the football, protect their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, allow for more quarterback run from Jalen. When it's hitting late November, December, especially January for playoff time, the quarterback run is critical. It's crucial. Using your legs as a quarterback, scrambling to pick up first downs for your team. It's that different part of the year where the hits, you're just going to have to some point take them. And Jalen Hurts and him needing to use his dynamic ability, it'll be crucial for him to do that at some point. And I think he can have success doing that against the Los Angeles Chargers. For Justin Herbert, this guy's taken more hits, more shots than any other quarterback in 2025. So the question is, how mobile will he be? How aggressive is he in his approach to scramble and go get yardage? He typically has 1 or 2 plays a game where he's able to extend, pick up a first down, or pick up 7-8 yards when everything's breaking down. He gets away from pressure. But looking at the Chargers offense against the Philadelphia defense, I'm concerned about this Los Angeles Chargers run game. They ran the ball well against the Raiders. That's one thing. But to do it against Philadelphia, that is absolutely something fully, entirely. I wish we could know the full status of Omarion Hampton, getting him fully back. As of right now, it doesn't look like it. But you look at the last decent defense they played against in Jacksonville Jaguars, 42 rush yards, 16 attempts. They got away from the run. We can't see the Chargers just immediately get away from the run if it's not there. That's a recipe for disaster against Philadelphia. I want to say the last time the Eagles were at SoFi Stadium, it was a rout over Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football a season ago. The Sunday before Thanksgiving, it was domination. Saquon Barkley in that building, getting him back in there. He had a huge game, and they're looking for him to do the exact same thing against the Chargers this week. For LA to not allow that to happen, well, it doesn't quite happen or have as high of a chance. You're able to run the football better, and you can keep your offense on the field, keep Jalen Hurts, keep Saquon Barkley, and that Philadelphia Eagle offense on the sideline. The interception from Hurts, the fumble, the 2 turnovers, it's something they haven't done the entire season. So that was a major surprise with the pick he threw to Kevin Byard coming up and jumping that route. I'm not concerned about the turnovers. The tush-push turnover, it's not really something that you ever see on that play. It just makes you wonder if teams are going to adjust a little bit more to what they do to preventing the Eagles from running that play a bit more often. But there's no secret now about that play, and there's a potential way to defend it. And that initial push to stall Jalen, and then you're getting a player there to attack, get after his legs, or just go straight at the football to stall his progress or potentially force a turnover. My initial thoughts on this is a Philadelphia win. Their defense, specifically their pass rush, and that talent now with Jalen Phillips in the lineup being a game wrecker. He got a bit banged up from Chicago. There's a hit, Kyle Manun guy sort of just hit him, looked like in the face mask, the head area. So don't fully know about his status, but hopefully he's able to go. And that will be key and crucial for them. This could be a 7-8 sack kind of game for Los Angeles. In my opinion, screens, getting the ball out of Herbert's hands quickly to Ladd McConkey, to Johnston, Trey Harris, Vidal. Like it's critical for them to get the football out of Herbert's hands. If you got to punt the ball and rely on your defense at times, that's not necessarily a terrible thing. But being moved back, getting your quarterback hit a bunch against Philadelphia, this is one of the tougher matchups that you're going to get. The Philadelphia Eagles do not lose 3 games in a row. It's just something that hasn't happened, that doesn't happen to a team that's been probably, we'd all agree, that's been the best team in the NFC over about the last decade. It's been the Eagles and it's been the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams have been good there, but the numbers say 2 Super Bowls for Philadelphia, and they've been that team to beat now, and they are that team to beat in the NFC until someone else can get to the Super Bowl. So that's going to be my prediction here for a score. I'm going to go with Philadelphia winning this game in, honestly, a bit of relatively tighter fashion. I think that the Chargers can keep it close. They're not able to turn the ball over, but I think Philly wins it 24-19, a bit lower scoring, not a ton of explosives in this one. This is a great Charger passing attack, so them not scoring more than 17 seems unrealistic. So about 19 points, but I think they score a touchdown and then they get held to field goals. I believe against Philadelphia, a huge critical piece that people are overlooking against Chicago was how good the Bears were running the ball in the red zone. The touchdown with the Manun guy in the fourth quarter, touchdown to Swift there in the first quarter at the end of it. Those are critical plays. Like they're scoring right there in the red zone. If you don't have a good run game, then you're stalling out. Chargers with the interception that Herbert threw in the red zone in the second quarter, them getting stuffed on a 4th and 1. That game against the Raiders, what was 7-7 at halftime, and it really should have been 17-7, 21-7 if they were able to run the football just a little bit better. So against Philadelphia, I think that this is a terrible matchup. Their O-line against that Eagles run defense, and they're going to be settling for some field goals in Philadelphia. And the way they match up, it's tough for them to score all that many points. So looking at the Chargers defense, think that they can keep them in it throughout the game. So 24-19, Eagles get the win on the road at SoFi Stadium. They're about a point and a half point favorites in this one, so I think that they covered the spread. Want to hear from you, though. Who do you believe comes out with a win in this game? Do you think that Philadelphia has an ability to really start to click on offense? I don't believe this is the game where the offense just comes together. More realistically than not, it'll be a matchup with the Washington Commanders that they'll have them 2 of the last 3 games where the Eagles have an opportunity to get that offense starting to click a little bit more. Against the Raiders in a week, they'll just have to double, triple team Max Crosby, and then they'll have a bit of an offense. But again, I'm going to stand on that. Eagles get the win because they'll be able to stop the Chargers in the red zone against that very weak Chargers offensive line, getting a lot of pressure on Justin Herbert. And then offensively, seeing them march down the field, look for their matchups. Remember, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, in one-on-one. This is still no doubt a top 5 wide receiver duo. And when they can get clicking, like they did with Philly and A.J. Brown, 10 catches, 2 touchdowns last week, 132 yards, they can replicate a little bit of that and rely on their elite playmakers to get this win on the road. So I appreciate you guys so much for watching this Blitz with Blender video. Appreciate you all so much. This is the best time of year. We got Big Ten, SEC title games coming up. Lots of divisional matchups this week. Ravens, Steelers, Bears, Packers. There's some great ones. An important Sunday night game, Texans, Chiefs, this Monday night game to cap it all off. A pair of 8-4 teams. Finally, there's a good Monday night game. It'd been a while since there had actually been a good Monday night game. So, I mean, Eagles, Chargers, this is about as big as it is going to get. And it keeps stacking the pressure and the importance of the implications, playoffs, seeding, all of it starting to pick up here towards December. The best time of year. Glad to have you watching. Subscribe for more content in the future, and I will see all of you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blunder. To the 40, 35.